Starlight. Today we're going to be working on market bags. So you've probably seen these around, maybe you have one or wanted one yourself, and there's these really cute just crocheted bags that you can use to go to farmers markets, on your regular shopping trips to the grocery store, whatever you like. They're reusable, they're washable, they're just perfect. So they're environmentally friendly, and they're really quick and simple to make. Today we are going to be using an I9 5mm crochet hook. We're also going to be using some cotton yarn. I'm using purple and peaches and cream, and I'm using this multicolor, and I love this yarn. They just happen to be what I have on hand. You'll also need a pair of scissors, and what I don't have in the shot is a darning needle, and you'll just need that needle to weave in your tails. So this is just a really quick, simple pattern. You can make it however size you want it to be. So if you want it to be a larger market bag, you'll just chain more at the beginning. If you want it to be a smaller market bag, just a little tote that you're taking with you for incidentals. Maybe you're going on a car trip and you just want a little bag to sit in the front with your snacks in it, then that's fine, and you'll just chain less. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with a slip knot. And as a refresher for our slip knot, we just wrap our yarn around our fingers, insert our hook under that first stitch, or under that first loop, grab the second loop and pull it through. Then we tighten up that knot on our hook, and we're going to go ahead and chain 30. Now 30 is going to be our base number. So we're going to want to do an extra 1 chain just for our turning chain. And so we're going to do a total of 31. And that 31 will make you kind of a smallish bag. So if you want a larger bag, you'll want to chain, I don't know, maybe 45 to 60, depending on the size that you're going for. You can do, again, smaller, you can do larger. It's up to you what size you want. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we are going to do 30 plus 1 for a total of 31. So go ahead and do your chains to whatever size you are comfortable with and wanting to make, and I'll meet you right back here when you've reached your number of chains. Okay, everybody, so I got my 31 chains on my hook, as you can see here. I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook into that second chain from the hook, and I'm going to do 1 single crochet. Then I'm going to do another. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets into that first, second chain from the hook. And then I'm going to do single crochets all the way to the last chain. So go ahead and work your single crochets all the way to the end. And I will meet you back once you've got all those single crochets. And the only one you want to leave open is that last chain, or the very first chain that you made. Okay, I've got all my single crochets in there, and I've got 1 last chain remaining. In this last one, I'm going to place 4 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, I'm going to try to tuck my tail in there and get it kind of hidden in there, 3, and 4. And it's going to kind of turn. So we're going to work on the other side of our initial chain. So here's our chain. We've got 4 single crochets, and now we're going to work on the back side. So we're going to put single crochets all the way down the opposite side of our beginning chain. So that's kind of what we're going to end up with, okay? So just keep working your single crochets into each stitch along the opposite side of your chain, or the back side of your chain, till you get to the last stitch. When you get to that last stitch, you're going to work 2 single crochets into that last stitch. But let's go ahead and finish this, and then we'll meet you back up when you're at the last stitch, okay? Okay, so now I'm at my last stitch here for this row. I'm just going to work 2 single crochets into it. There's 1 and there's 2. Now some of you may want a narrower bag, just a small little narrow bag, and you can go ahead and fast forward to the next step if this is all that you're looking for as far as your bottom of your bag, and that would be this part right here that you see. So I've gone a couple rows in this example, so if you can see how vastly different and how much smaller this one, it measures about 9 inches across, 9.5, 10 inches across. This one measures, I don't know, I would say like 7 inches across, give or take. So it just kind of depends on what size you want. To keep going, however, you are going to then go into this top stitch here and place 2 single crochets in it, into that same stitch. So there's 1 single crochet, go right back into there if it'll let you. It's kind of tight because I was trying to work it tight. 2 single crochets, and then the 2 single crochets into the one next to it. 1 and 2, okay? And then we're going to work single crochets all the way down to the end until we get to our last 2 stitches on the end on this side. And I'm not using any stitch markers or anything like that because there's no real exact science. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's the bottom of a bag. So I'm just looking at where it starts curving right here. You can see that it starts to curve. So I'm going to start kind of increasing at that curve. So this is the last one to the end, and then this stitch here starts my downward spiral. So I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to place 2 single crochets in each of these, and then 2 in each of these, and then single crochet down to the end. So stop when you get to this point, and I'll meet you back. Okay, so we can see that I have now gotten to the point where I'm at my last 2 crochet, or my last 2 stitches for that side. I'm going to insert my hook, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets in each of those last 2 stitches. There's 1, I have 1 more stitch. Going to insert my hook. It's kind of awkward because it's curving. Work my 1 single crochet, work my next single crochet, and then now I'm going to go on my other side. So for this one, my first 2 stitches on this side, I'm going to work 2 single crochets in each of those stitches. So there's 1 and there's 2, and then the next stitch, 1 and the second one, and then I'm going to crochet all the way down on the reverse side until I get to my last 3 stitches. So you can see here where it starts to curve, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so when it gets to my last 3 stitches from when the curve starts, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to put 2 single crochets in there. And again, if you want to stop at any time because you've got the bottom of your bag as wide as you want it to, go ahead and then just fast forward until we get to the next step. But until then, I'm going to go ahead and finish this row, and this will be the end of row 2. Okay, so here I am. I'm going to be beginning my curve now. So I've got 1, 2, 3 stitches that make the top of my curve, and then 1, 2, 3 stitches that make the bottom of my curve, and the bottom of my curve is the beginning of row 3. So I'm going to put my 2 double crochets in each of these 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, there you go. So now we're going to start row 3 and place 3 crochets, 3 single crochets in each of those on the bottom. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you have that nice round platform, and we're just going to single crochet all the way to the end until we get to our last 3. You can kind of find the middle here, and then the stitches right there, those 3 there are for the top of the round, and those 3 there are for the bottom of the round. So just go ahead and finish single crocheting until you get to your last 3 for that top round, that top part of the round, and then 2 single crochets in each. Here we are, we're finishing the top of round 3. So we've got our last 3 stitches here, before we go to the bottom of round 3. So we're doing our 2 double crochets in each of these 3. There's 1, 2, and then the next one, 1, 2, and then the last one. Oopsie. There's 1 and 2. Okay, so we got to turn it around to make the bottom of row 3. So we do our 2 single crochets into those 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 1, 2, and the last one. Okay, and then we complete this row by going all the way down with our single crochets until the end. If you're going to finish it with this and only go as wide as this, then you'll want to crochet to the end as in a single crochet. Otherwise, you'll want to pick the last 4, which are right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, to begin your increase. Okay, and then that'll be for the 4th and final round. So I'm going to go ahead and work my single crochets through to the last 4 where I will meet you back. Okay, so here we go. We're finishing with this round here, and I have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to begin my curve. I'm going to place 2 double crochets for a total of 8, and then 2 more for a total of 8 on the 4 down. And this will be our last row before we begin the main part of our bag. So go ahead and add those single crochets. You're going to do 2 in each of the 4 up, and then 2 in each of the 4 down. So 2 in each of the next 8 stitches for a total of 16 single crochets in that little round section just to round it off, and then single crochet all the way to the next part. And here we are about to do our 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, our 8 stitches of 2 single crochets to complete our round. Okay, so then we are going to single crochet all the way to the end on this bottom piece, and that is going to complete our bottom of our bag. So go ahead and single crochet all the way to the end, and then I'll meet you back. So we're not going to worry so much about increasing this round because it is our last row, so we don't really need to do any increase stitches there. So I'm going to get to my middle there, and I'm just going to slip stitch it, whoops, just to close it. Grab my scissors and pull that through. Okay, so that is the base of our bag. And don't worry too much about this little hole. If it bothers you, you can just kind of go on the underside with your tail perhaps and just slip it through. Otherwise, it'll be pulled taut, kind of like that once your bag is actually in use. So it won't be any different than any of the other holes that you have on your bottom. And so that is the base of our bag. So let's compare. That is about the same size of the base that I have on my sample bag here. Okay, so that will end up being a medium size bag. So we're going to take our other yarn. If you're not going to be changing colors, then you don't need to cut your yarn. If you're going to be changing colors and making it something with more than one color, then you'll be adding in your new color here. And I was going to do a slip knot, but I'm not. So to add in your new color, you can join it anywhere that you would like. So I'm just going to join it right in there. Pull my yarn through, and I'm going to chain 2. So for this round that's we're working on here, it's the first round of the actual bag portion. We're just going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch around. So just double crochet in each stitch until you get back to the beginning, and then you'll join with a slip stitch. So we'll go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back here when you've worked your way around. Okay, so I've worked all the way around my double crochets, and I'm on my last stitch. and I need to join up with my first chain 2 by doing a little slip stitch into the top of that chain 2 to close it. So if I could get my needle in there, or my hook in there, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to grab it, pull it on through, and slip stitch for you. There we go. So that is the base. Now for the real fun, chain 3. This initial chain 3 counts as a double crochet in a chain 1. You're going to skip the next double crochet, and you are going to double crochet in the next. So that is going to be your pattern. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. And you are going to work that all the way around until you get back here. Now, however many rows you want to do will determine the height of your bag, or how tall your bag is. So that's completely up to you. So once you get to the beginning of the round, you are going to slip stitch, chain 3, and start all over again. And you're going to double crochet into the tops of your double crochets until you've got your bag as tall as you want it to be. But I'll check back with you in a few rounds to see how you're doing. I'll check back at the end of this row here. Okay, so here I am about to join row 2. So I'm going to join with a slip stitch right in there, pull it through, chain 3, take me up to the next level, and then I'm going to double crochet at the top of the double crochet from the previous round, chain 1, and then just repeat that all the way around. So you just want to keep making rows just like this until you're satisfied with the size of your bag. And then when you're satisfied with the size of your bag, come on back and I'll show you how to finish it off and how to create your straps. So have fun with those rounds. Okay, so I've worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 rows. And I have it, it's about, I would say 10 inches or so tall. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now add in my accent color, which is this purple that was the same color that we did for the bottom of the bag. And I'm just going to work rows of half double crochet all the way around. I'm going to put about 2 or 3 rows right on the top here. So if you want to keep the same color, just keep going in your half double crochets. If you want to add different colors, just go ahead and change the color. And we're going to change the color just by going into any one of our double crochet stitches. And I started with a slip stitch, or a slip knot, I'm sorry, and I'm just going to put that right on through it as a little slip stitch if I can do it. Let's see. There we go. And then I'm going to chain 2, and I find the chain 2 on this makes it easier when you're doing your half double crochet. So what you're going to do is you're going to place 1 half double crochet in each of your chain spaces, your chain 1 spaces, and then 1 half double crochet into the top of each of your double crochet. Okay, so half double crochet in each stitch around and each chain space. So here's my next chain space, going to work that just right in there, and then here's my top of my double crochet, whoops, from the previous round. There we go. Just keep going all the way around until you get to the other side. Then you're just going to join it with a slip stitch. So like I said, it's up to you how many rows you want to make for this top portion of your bag. It'll be similar to what I've done here if you just do 2 rows. So this bag just has 2 rows. This bag, I believe, has, let's see, 1, 2, 3 rows here, so you can see it's a little thicker. Let's compare those 2 rows. Show you this side here and this side here. So that's what it looks like when you get the 2 different rows going on there. And so if you want it to have smaller border on top or a thicker border on top, it just depends on your design. With a thicker border, I did the thicker handle. With the smaller border, I did 2 smaller handles. So however you want to design your bag. For this one, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a thicker border and the thicker single handle. So go ahead and you decide how thick you want your top border edging to be, and go ahead and just go around as many times as you need to get that thickness. Each round join with a slip stitch and a chain 2, and I will join you back here when I'm done with mine. Okay, so I hope you were able to figure out how wide you wanted to make your band. I made mine 3 rows, and now I need to start my handle. So because of the way my rows ended, I kind of just eyeball my handle. You can actually do a count and figure out where you want it, but I got my bag folded in half, and if I fold there's a good 4 or 5 stitches there that I can assume is kind of the center. So I'm just going to take my yarn here, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. So now I'm going to work into these stitches here, and I'm just going to do 5 single crochet because that's the width of the band that I want, and then I'm going to chain 1 and turn it. So I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around until I have my band the length that I want it. So if you want a longer strap, you will obviously just need to keep going in this pattern until you reach the length that you're looking to achieve. Just chain 1 and turn, single crochet across. If you want a shorter strap, then you'll chain to that length of that strap. If you want a narrower strap, you'll use less crochets across, single crochets across. If you want a wider strap, you'll use more. If you need to stop your working yarn, finish off, and then reattach so that you get a better center, go ahead and do that. And just, it's kind of in your court, the ball's in your court as to how you want your bag to look. You are the maker, you are the designer, you are the one in control of what your finished piece looks like. And then when you get your strap to the length and width you like, just finish off your yarn and then attach it to the other side with your darning needle, your yarn needle. Just go ahead and whip stitch that on, and you've got yourself a market bag. But I'll come back and finish off that strap with you. So just make your strap as long, short, wide, thin as you like, and I'll meet you back when you got your strap done. Okay, here we are. I have finished my strap. I am got about, I don't know, 10 inches or so left. I'm going to go ahead and weave this into the other side, or not weave it in, but stitch it into the other side. Just thread my needle here. Whoopsie. There we go. Thread my needle, and then I'm going to take my strap, make sure that it's on straight. Going to kind of eyeball this next center here. Looks like a good spot. Pick it up. Then I'm just going to stitch into that stitch there. Whoops, wrong side. Whoops, having a bit of a struggle here today. There we go. Stick our needle into that stitch. pull our yarn through. Just going to do that through the next few stitches to secure our strap. Then you're going to want to weave in your tails so that everything is nice and secure, so that when you have this on your shoulder and you're loading it full of your vegetables or whatever goodies you're getting at your market fair, your nice bag of oranges, all that nice summer fruit that's coming out, it doesn't fall off. So you can see that looks nice and secure. To weave in my tails, I like to just take it on the underside and try to get through some of the fibers of the threads, or not the threads, but of the yarn a few times so that it's nice and tight. Pull that tail out, finish that line. There you go. Pull that tail out. Go back. I do it 3 times. Sometimes, depending on the stitch, I'll go in the opposite direction. Maybe going up this way or down that way, depending on the stitch, just so that I can make sure that those ends are nice and secure. The last thing I want is for somebody to wash this bag and have it start to unravel on them. Especially if that somebody is me, because then I will cry. But you get the gist. Nobody likes to spend any amount of time working on a project only for it to fall apart. So there we go. We're good. That's on there. And we have ourselves a cute little market bag that we can take with us. If you have some light reading, if you want to take your crochet projects with you, you can feed your yarn through one of these little holes there. Just be careful you don't lose your needle. So you might want to put your needle, your hook, you might want to put your hook in a little pouch if you're going to use it for carrying your crochet projects, because losing your favorite hook is not a very good thing. So that's it for our market bag. If you liked this tutorial, please subscribe to my channel here. Hit that little bell button to be notified when new videos become available. Like, comment, share this, and as always, happy hooking.